I, 18F, feel trapped by my suicidal friend, 19M, who is in love with me.
The title sounds horrible, I know. My friend has a crush on me, he has even told me he loves me. He tries to spend as much time with me as humanly possible. He's very clingy. Whenever I'm on campus he wants to be attached to my hip. He knows my schedule, so he knows when I'm in and out of class, and knows when I'm usually in the library, so will sort of camp out the spot he knows I like to study at in the library. I do not feel the same way about him at all. I think he is a good friend and I enjoy hanging out with him, but after he told me loves me, I don't think I feel comfortable being around him anymore. I don't see how that's healthy at all. During that same conversation as his confession, he admitted that his goal for most of our friendship thus far, we'd been friends for about 5 months, was to date me, but he had given up on that about 2 weeks prior. He's constantly talking about how he's afraid to lose me, that he's going to scare me away, how I'm the only friend he feels really close to.
He feels safe enough to talk about how he feels he has no purpose, doesn't see a reason to live, and that the world would be just fine without him. I'm happy to try to help him with these thoughts, but it's come to the point where it's negatively affecting my life. I've missed important classes because he wanted to talk about it for like 4 hours and I felt I couldn't just dip in the middle of it. There's been multiple 5+ hour calls that cut in on my time to do homework of him talking about how hopeless he feels, and us just talking in circles because he would ask questions like why am I worth it? What's in my future? Or make comments like I don't feel like anyone needs me, like they'd all be fine if I wasn't here, and I would answer to the best of my ability to make him feel better, and I feel like it'd go in one ear and out the other, because he'd ask the same question 10 minutes later. I get that he has a hard time hearing good things about himself, but what's the point of talking to me about it and posing it as if he wants help with it if he's not going to try to listen to what I have to say? He'd even fight with my very reasonable suggestions of change. I almost feel like he doesn't want to get better. It's incredibly frustrating and also incredibly emotionally taxing. He is still my friend after all, and I want to be okay, so hearing this isn't easy. I want to pull back because I just don't feel comfortable around him anymore, but I don't want to make his thoughts worse, and I also have a hard time standing up for myself and saying no to people, so I feel pretty trapped by this situation. What do I do? How do I stand up for myself? How do I not make him feel worse?
No. He's not your obligation. Cut him off before he cuts your goals and dreams.
The sad thing is that all he does is emotional manipulation and you're falling for it every time. Him forcing you to tell him what a great guy he is. Monopolizing your time with his sad sob stories about losing you. Even telling you that he gave up on becoming your boyfriend. And isn't he the nicest of guys for it? Won't you spend more time with him to reward him? Are just tactics designed to manipulate you. He's weaponizing your inability to set boundaries and is turning what you think is niceness against you. Stop giving him the time of the day. You don't have to be rude about it, but you have to be firm. Put down the phone when you have to study. Tell him you don't have time to talk when he ambushes you somewhere and leave. Have other plans when he asks to hang out. Real or not, don't invite him over. Stop letting him guilt trip you into spending more time with him. Find new friends. Hang out with them and try not to be alone where he can accidentally stumble upon you. And for God's sake, quit jeopardizing your future. You're not being nice to him. You're being spineless. And it's you who will have to pay for it later. Not him. I'd explain to him that it sounds like he'd benefit from a therapist because you aren't equipped to support him in the way he needs. You need to spend some time focusing on things in your own life and don't have time to dedicate to making him feel better. My mental health is suffering when I am with you. That's why we can't be friends anymore. I am sorry. Well, the sad thing is that it seems he was never really interested in being your friend. He saw friendship as a way to gain leverage into your romantic life. This whole situation is really sad, but it sounds like he's turning you into his therapist. If I were you, I would be kind about it, but next time he wants to take an emotional dump on you, tell him that you think this is over your ability to help him and that you want to help, but recommend he seek a therapist, that you care about him but you can't do anymore until he seeks his own professional help. He needs to get therapy and possibly has options even through the school counselor to get help. You don't necessarily have to have a talk with him about how you need a break. Next time he calls you, don't answer or just briefly say hi, but then speak up for yourself and say, "BTW, I got to get going. I have something important I can't miss. Nice chatting." Change up your routine so he can't find you at the library, etc. Just be nice but pull back. I wouldn't bother explaining it to him as he won't take it well. Make some excuse like, "I have a stressful deadline and I am sorry, but I just don't have as much time to chat today." You're setting yourself on fire to keep him warm. Cut it out. When I was your age, I had guys do that to me. Eventually I ghosted one. He did not kill himself. My best friend dated a guy who threatened suicide when she broke up with him and went so far as to harm himself. Minor but ugly and scary. In front of her, she called the cops and had him admitted, and that was the last time he tried to threaten that he hurt himself to her. The threats of mental issues are about control. The reaction they're looking for is that you comfort them. Report that he's a danger to himself to his family, a trusted teacher, or some authority figure. Either they'll get him the help he needs or he'll stop because he'll realize he can't use that to control you anymore. It is not your job to be his therapist or cater to him to keep him alive. I would set firm boundaries. I can't help you with this. You need professional help. Let his family know. Other adults' mental issues are not your problem. If he needs help, your campus has resources. He is manipulating you big time. He is using his poor mental health to keep you around, and he's even admitted that his goal was not friendship, it was romantic. I highly doubt he has actually given up on his intentions. This is a very hard lesson to learn, but you owe no one your time, energy, or own mental health, and certainly not jeopardizing your future. Everything he has said is all about him and how you benefit him. He sounds obsessed with you, potentially because he lacks the ability to regulate himself, or validate his own feelings, or he may have a personality disorder. He definitely needs to be in therapy. You are not helping him at all, enabling his behavior. Like you said, nothing you say helps. You need to talk to him about the impact he's having on your mental health, demanding all your time and energy, especially when you are not actually able to help. I would recommend asking for some distance and space and recommending some therapy. Please also look into red flags for abusive behavior and manipulation. I'm not saying he's dangerous, but he's very obsessed with you, and if you ever feel worried about your safety if and when you ask that things change, please take that seriously. I've seen this pattern of behavior before, and it's very rarely not manipulation and abuse. It doesn't sound like this friendship even has any benefit or enjoyment for you. You keep saying he is your friend, but I don't see a single mention of his friendship for you. He takes, threatens, and manipulates you while you describe being around him as uncomfortable. What about that as friendship? 5 months of him pretending to be a friend while secretly scheming to get a date. Once he's figured that you don't want to date him, he unloads all his suicidal thoughts onto you. I might be a cynic, but that sounds like he's trying to make you feel obliged to do his bidding, lest his delicate ego might shattered and make him end it all. Nah, he's not your friend. He's conniving, manipulative, abusive, and perfectly happy with you being uncomfortable as long as it gives him more time to emotionally manipulate you into dating him. I think you need to speak to campus student guidance about this, because you need to let them know That he's suicidal and obsessed with you while making you feel like he'll kill himself if you cut him out like you actually want to. That's a safety issue and a red flag for how he act in the future towards you or other people. Speak to someone in authority. Emotional blackmailing someone is not very conducive for a friendship. I think this requires more of a sit down and lay it all out moment and set clear boundaries that come with consequences if broken. This guy would seriously benefit from therapy. It sounds like he is latching onto you, and your relationship is very codependent and not healthy for either of you. He may have some mental health issues he is unaware of or doesn't want to address as yet. I don't want to diagnose over the internet, but a lot of the things he is doing rings some bells with me with some personality disorders. Have a look on Google and look up personality disorders so you know what I'm talking about. If you think he might be open to a discussion about any of it, then point out some resources he can look at himself and that he should visit his GP. The only way forward for him is some professional help. That's about all you can recommend for him to do. Let him know you are his friend first and foremost, but it is beyond you to help him. It might be time to step back from him for a time while he gets this help. Low contact with him for your own mental well-being so you can breathe and not be overwhelmed by him. Set some boundaries with him. Limit times on the phone. Limit talks in person. Just straight up say it's been great talking but have to go now. Up to you if you want to make up an excuse or just cut it short without one. If he doesn't accept that he needs help and take those steps to address his mental health issues, then continuing low contact with him or even dropping your friendship with him might be the only way forward. Just remember to always be safe and look after yourself. He may not react positively to what he can perceive as you rejecting him. And if you no longer feel safe around him, then take some necessary precautions. He's not suicidal, he knows it gets your attention. Dip. If you think he might call the police, you'll quickly find he was just manipulating you. If nothing else, talk to the people in your life about this. Parents, teachers, authority figures. If you tell him you need space, do it in public. If you see any signs that he is dangerous to you, listen to those instincts. Tell him politely that his poor mental health is affecting yours and you feel overloaded and overwhelmed with his problems. Suggest he sees his doctor and a therapist, as you haven't been able to do or say anything that makes him feel better. Make sure he knows you will never be his girlfriend, so to get that idea out of his head straight away, you report him to your campus mental health services. I had a friend like this. His roommate eventually turned him in to campus mental health police because he had a massive hunting knife in his room. Turns out he was thinking of stabbing me. Your safety is paramount. He is not your problem to solve. What you do is you warn someone on campus equipped to handle him, and you step away and protect yourself. He's not suicidal. He is claiming he is suicidal to control you. This could be a great time to learn to set boundaries and you can both become healthier. Completely cutting him off and leaving the practice of those lessons for another time with a less complex person is also completely acceptable. If you choose to learn to set boundaries now, it goes like this. Let's take the 4 hours on the phone situation. Once you have no more time to talk, you need to be assertive, not aggressive, defensive or passive. Your position should be, I like for us to talk but I have to study now. If he doesn't accept this, i.e. asking if you don't care about him, you need to tell him that you also need to take care of yourself and your duties so that you guys can continue to be friends in a healthy manner. If he continues to escalate, continue along the pattern that for you guys to be healthy, you need to be respectful of each other. If this continues, you need to cease contact and protect yourself. Please encourage him to get real help. You can be compassionate and sympathetic while also asserting that you are not qualified to help him with problems this big, that you're not getting your needs met in the friendship because trying to help him is hurting your goals, and you know that. Because he said he loves you. He wants the best for you. But manipulative? Yes. But it will gently get him to see you as a person, not his emotional support robot. And it will encourage him to get actual help, which, from someone who has been suicidal, he may actually really need. Once he's been properly medicated and developed some more life skills, he may be a great friend in the future. But for now you need to figure out how to put some space between the two of you. Maybe tell him you haven't been sleeping well and are going to start a hard early bedtime and will be putting your phone on airplane mode. But just put the limits on his number.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.